Heavier drones are usually more ideal, I guess, in this extremely windy weather. I guess in terms of heavier drones, it's interesting reading this one about drones carrying organs and stuff. It's been a while actually since I read something like that. This one says, drone makes historic flight over Las Vegas carrying human organs. Apparently a record was broken with this one too. It says a drone made history in Las Vegas when it completed the longest flight on record carrying human organs. It was one of the 2 test flights to be carried out in Nevada. The first took off from Southern Hills Hospital and landed a few miles away at St. Rose Dominican San Martin campus. The second historic flight left the McCarran Airport and landed about 10 miles away in the Las Vegas desert, saying, quote, the reason that flight is 10 miles is that puts within 90% of the hospital systems within Las Vegas, said Mission Go CEO Scott Plank. Mission Go is the creator of the Unmanned Aircraft System, or drone. They teamed up with the Nevada Donor Network to make the flights a reality. As to what it was carrying, it says the first flight carried a human cornea and the second a kidney. Both did not have intended patients and were donated for the use of the medical research. It almost made me wonder if this is mainly like a test flight of things like time and stuff, stability and transportation. Did you really need to use like a real organ here? Like maybe it's to see, hey, this thing will be fully intact and so forth when you bring it, but it feels a little wasteful, isn't it? And with that, I guess they're making a case how this is the way of the future. They should start replacing things like helicopters, I suppose. This one says the company claimed that drones are not only more efficient and low risk than ground medical transport, they also cut costs. The cost of the helicopter, which has 2 pilots, 800 pounds of gasoline, moving parts, and it's moving over your head. What is the cost of that per hour compared to a machine that weighs under 100 pounds, said Plank. It's inevitable, I think, that this will be the way of the future. It just makes you wonder how much apprehension there will be towards people using stuff like this. I just think it's weird, kind of like yesterday, where there's like a huge manned aircraft flying so low around this area, yet people are okay with that. But let's just say something, I don't know, a 500-gram drone or something like that, people freak out. Like, that doesn't make sense. So I think it's more about people getting used to things like a tech and all that. Ooh, and the rain's coming down a bit. I guess with that thought of a helicopter versus a drone, and since they mentioned about a helicopter having like gas, for example, is really heavy, it makes you wonder whether or not they will start, I guess, mandating that you must use electric vehicles, for example. Because I was reading this one today, it's kind of interesting. This one says in California, it will require all passenger vehicles sold in the state to be zero emission by 2035. California Governor Gavin Newsom issued an executive order on Wednesday requiring the sales of all new passenger vehicles be zero emission by 2035. The new order would be a huge boost for electric vehicles and vehicles using alternative fuels like hydrogen, and could boost a sector that's already surging in California. And talk about things like heavy duty drones, I guess, in the wind and stuff. But this one, it says the board will also develop regulations that require operations of medium and heavy duty vehicles to be fully zero emission by 2045 where feasible. Under the order, state agencies in partnership with the private sector will be required to accelerate deployment of affordable fueling and charging options. The order also requires broad accessibility to zero emission vehicles, according to a statement. And they did clarify in the statement saying, what it won't require is for Californians who own a gasoline-powered cars to give it up or deny car owners the ability to sell their gas-powered cars in the used car market. With the initiative, California is joining 15 countries that have already committed to phasing out gas-powered cars, according to a statement. So it'll be interesting to see how this all goes through in practice. I know in terms of electric vehicles, one thing is affordability. Like, they're super expensive compared to the gas ones. But I would imagine if they're forced to manufacture this, it will drive prices down. At the same time, you have to configure a lot of businesses and society in general, isn't it? The immediate thing I would think of is more electric cars, and you need more charging stations and stuff like that. Will they actually be able to supply, I guess, that much electricity to everyone using that on the road now? They use electric cars versus all the gas stations that we see now. So there's more than just, I guess, to it if you want to implement stuff like this. But I guess we'll see. not gonna eat that poor fish I see here all the time, is it? Lucky I flew the drone quickly before this downpour of rain came. Nice timing. Alright, see you guys later.